Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Gloria Shkurti Özdemir. I am the assistant editor of Inside Turkey Journal. In today's panel, we have three distinguished speakers. Professor Sohbet Karbuz joining us from Paris, Professor Nurşin Ateşoğlu Güney joining us from Istanbul, and Professor Hakan Berman joining us from Ankara. Thank you for coming here today. A couple of days ago, we have published the latest issue of Inside Turkey, which was focused on the latest developments of Eastern Mediterranean. The region has re-emerged lately as a point of convergence in the international politics, with many regional and global actors trying to impact the events as they protect their own national interests. The main issues in the region revolve around three main headings, specifically the political, legal, and the economic. However, energy is associated with all of them. For this reason, we decided to conduct two panels regarding the Eastern Mediterranean issue. While today we will be talking about the energy equation in the region, next week there will be another panel which will focus mainly on the political and legal aspects of the situation. Energy is one of the topics or issues associated the most with Eastern Mediterranean, considering that the region is quite rich in terms of natural gas and crude oil. The high resource potential in the region has attracted many global actors, and the exploration activities have increased considerably in the last years. However, in some cases, due to the ongoing disagreements, especially about the exclusive economic zones, there have been seen conflicts between the regional actors, which of course have impacted negatively the drilling and exploration activities. Without further ado, I would like to introduce our first speaker today, Professor Sohbet Karbuz, an energy analyst who currently works at Mediterranean Observatory for Energy in Paris, and at the same time he works at Bilkent University's Energy Policy Research Center. His main areas of interest are oil and gas markets, geopolitics of energy, macroeconomics, energy security, modeling, and scenario building. Taking into consideration also his very valuable contribution to Inside Turkey, his article, Professor Karbuz will focus on the key commercial, technical, legal, and political challenges that the Eastern Mediterranean region faces today in regard to the development of its natural gas resources. Professor Karbuz, the floor is yours.
Thank you very much. First of all, thanks again for this kind invitation and this opportunity to summarize or give an overview of the developments in East Med gas. As you know, natural gas is not a toxic substance when inhaled, but if you exposed to natural gas emission for a substantially time, you get two symptoms. One is dizziness, and the other one is headache. These two words, dizziness and headache, in my opinion, summarizes all the developments in East Med gas developments. Dizziness because of the huge amount of resources that have been discovered in the region. I will just give you a prospect. In the past 60 years, the amount of gas discovered in the East Med region is equivalent to that of Norway. So total amount of gas discovered in the region is equivalent of the Norwegian gas discoveries. And half of this amount was discovered, in fact, in the past 12 years. So how much is this? Basically, or more or less, is equivalent of the natural gas reserves of Azerbaijan. So we discovered an Azerbaijan in the past 12 years in the region. But this is only the discovery part. And there is also a substantial amount of gas that is expected to be discovered in the future. How much is that? Substantial, around more than 11 trillion cubic meters. So if you add this the amount of gas that has been discovered plus undiscovered gas potential, the East Mediterranean region is more or less equivalent to the North Sea. With North Sea, I mean Norway plus UK plus Denmark plus Netherlands. So this is a substantial amount. Now, I said dizziness. Of course, with these substantial amount of gas yet to be discovered, attracted international attention, especially for oil and gas companies. Everybody is competing to enter into the region. We have seen, for example, ExxonMobil and Chevron entered into Egyptian market to get blocks for exploration. So far, Egypt and Israel has utilized their gas resources. They first become self-sufficient, then they became net gas exporter. Of course, the gas discoveries also help them reduce their dependency on imported fuels, and they enabled them to switch from coal and heavy fuel oil to produce electricity, and therefore helped reduce CO2 emissions. And it also created an industry, created employment. But due to COVID, we have seen some slowdown in activities. Some exploration bidding rounds have been postponed, and some planned well drillings have been postponed until the end of this year or to next year. But since the early this year, we have seen that Egypt opened up a new bidding round. Israel will announce soon another exploration bidding round, and Lebanon hopefully will resume its delayed bidding round. Now, I said East Mediterranean is becoming a net gas importer region. Currently, gas trade in the region takes place in the immediate neighborhood. So Egypt sells a little gas to Jordan and also to international markets via LNG, liquefied natural gas. Israel sells gas to Jordan and Egypt, but the region has much more potential to export additional gas. So according to our OME's estimates, 30 to 50 billion cubic meters of gas per year can be exported from the region. So far, the total trade is very low. This amount could be at least doubled, in other words, in the mid to longer term. But the problem is that how to export it. So how to export this gas to distant markets? Because there we have the issue of export means. We have one idle capacity, or we had, because the second LNG liquefaction plant in Egypt has resumed its activities after so many years of being idle. Some of the gas imported from Israel might be exported through that facility, but there is a certain capacity. 19 billion cubic meters of gas maximum could be exported from two facilities in Egypt. Otherwise, there is no other pipeline or LNG facility to export gas from the region to distant markets, especially Asian markets, when you think of the arbitrage between Asian and European gas markets. There are some plans to export gas through pipeline from Israel, Leviathan field particularly, to Europe passing through Cyprus and Crete, and landing in Greece, then extending to Italy. But this is a project. Feasible, not feasible, I don't want to enter. Maybe we can discuss it later on. So the important point is how to export the potential production in the future from the region to distant markets. This is a big challenge. So here I want to enter the second part. As I said, we have dizziness and headache. So lack of or insufficient gas export infrastructure is one of these headaches of the region. The second headache is maritime boundary disputes. This is a major headache because when you look at around, more or less everyone has a border dispute with everyone else. We have several bilateral agreements between countries in the region. Several countries also announced unilaterally their exclusive economic zones or continental shelves. But this issue has become also a security issue. We should not forget that despite we have several bilateral boundary agreements, these bilateral delimitation agreements are not worth much if they do not consider the interests of third parties. Or in other words, if they adversely affect the rights of a country that is not part of it or part of the agreements, they do not have much international validity. So you will say now, how about a lot of countries have bilateral agreements? So according to international law, in summary, they are not worth much. What should be done? There are some resolution procedures like conciliation or arbitration, joint development mechanisms, or some other settlement issues. But we should not forget what international law says. It says, or all the agreements, customary law or UNCLOS, they say an inclusive dialogue and negotiation in good faith is a must. So far we are lacking this issue. So another headache in the region is that as politics shifted, so the alignments and alliances in the region. Deterioration of political relations between Turkey and Israel, between Turkey and Egypt, changed a lot of things in the region, and also the deterioration of relations between EU and Turkey in the past 5 years. We should admit that Greek Cyprus administration and Greece actually follow the successful diplomacy and take advantage of the worsening relations of Turkey with Israel and Egypt and the EU. And by using natural gas as a tool, they established stronger relations with Egypt and with Israel. The end result was the establishment of İzmit Gas Forum in January 2019. This forum has become an international organization in September 2020 and came into force in the beginning of March 2021. France is looking for to become a full member. United Arab Emirates, United States, and EU are seeking to become an observer. But one interesting thing happened last week is that apparently Palestine vetoed the membership request or observatory membership request of United Arab Emirates. The aim of this EastMed Gas Forum was to increase cooperation on gas matters and to develop a regional gas market in the region. So we will see what happens. Another thing for this headache issue was that there are some or several geopolitical events that took place in the region. When I mentioned this shifting or shaping new alignments or alliances, within this category, we can also add the 13 August 2020 Abraham Accords. With this, we have seen a geopolitical shift in EastMed. The relations of Israel with United Arab Emirates were established, and then Bahrain, Morocco, Sudan also established full diplomatic relations with Israel. But we have seen that these alignments, even though it started with energy and extended to political arena, all the structure, the political structure in the East Mediterranean is changing. In January 2021, Qatar, Egypt, and Gulf Cooperation Council signed Al-Ula Declaration, ending the dispute within the Gulf and the boycott of Qatar. So they are trying, I mean, the EastMed Gas Forum, key players in EastMed Gas Forum, they're trying to attract Qatar into that circle. Then we had another development, so-called Friendship or Philia Forum, hosted by Greece in Athens. We have seen Saudi Arabia, United Arab Emirates joining the so-called Greek-Cyprus axis. But Israel was not there. And in all these things, Abraham Accords or the Al-Ula Declaration or Philia Forum and EastMed Gas Forum, Turkey is nowhere. So Turkey is excluded in all these issues. Now, without wasting more time that is allocated to me, let me summarize. Yes, we have substantial resources, and these substantial gas resources offers enormous opportunities. But also these resources triggered or are used as a tool to create a lot of headaches. Some of these headaches are technical headaches, especially the infrastructure issue, export infrastructure, but some are political or geopolitical headaches. What should be done is probably everyone says a candid and a sincere dialogue. This is needed. This kind of an open, transparent, and sincere dialogue to convert numerous challenges the region faces into opportunities is in the hands of course, politicians. But until a better atmosphere is established in the region, some things could be done. For example, creating joint development mechanisms in overlapping maritime zones, or joint development of new gas export infrastructure, even creating a virtual gas hub in the region. Unfortunately, instead of being used as a means for cooperation for the benefit of all, this natural gas has been turned into a tool for conflict. So regional alignments or shaping alignments don't help at all. This is problematic, of course. So maybe just a few sentences before I finish about what Turkey can do. In the past, Turkey missed several opportunities. One of these opportunities was that when Turkey's relations with Egypt was extremely good during Morsi area in the 13 months when Morsi was in power in Egypt. Unfortunately, Turkey could not sign a maritime delimitation agreement with Egypt. If it had been done, we wouldn't be maybe talking most of the problems that we face in the region today. Another issue, but there are good signs in the past few weeks that on the way to normalization of relations between Turkey, Israel, and Egypt. These are very good signs. I hope it will continue. But besides political arena, maybe Turkey could more actively involve in the gas markets of the region. For example, Turkish Petroleum could perhaps involve in these bidding rounds that has been already opened or will be opened in the region. In other words, in Egypt, in Israel, and Lebanon. Turkey could also involve in developing the Gaza Marine field in Palestine, but maybe now Egypt will be developing it, but why not? Still, things could be done in that area. And the most important thing is to give the message. To give the message is that we are for the dialogue and we want to normalize these relations and to have a better cooperation with all the countries in the region. So I come back what I said in the beginning is that yes, natural gas is not a toxic substance when inhaled, and we can have two symptoms, dizziness and headache. So what do you do if you have these symptoms? Normally, you need an oxygen. You need oxygen, you need the fresh air. So perhaps the politicians in the region need to do the same thing. They need the fresh air, fresh look. With that, I'd like to close. And I take the questions and deepen any issues that you might want to know. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Professor, for this insightful presentation. We will have some questions, I think, at the end of the panel. But for now, we will continue with our second speaker, Professor Nushin Ateşoğlu. She is currently working at Nişantaşı University, but she is also a member of Turkey's Presidential Security and Foreign Policy Committee. Professor Ateşoğlu is another writer of our latest issue of Inside Turkey and an expert of energy and security studies. Today, she is going to talk about the current alliance axis in the Eastern Mediterranean and the role the United States has played in this regard. Professor Ateşoğlu, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Gloria. It's a great pleasure to be here. Many thanks for SETA for inviting me to today's web panel. Yes, after listening Professor Sohbet Bey, I really took my notes and tried to explain the topic of our today's discussion, which is the energy occasion in Eastern Mediterranean, and this energy issue that is being quite debatable for some time, not at home domestically, but also in abroad, has of course related with both technical issues as well as economic issues. It has a explanation in economic wise, explanation is needed technical wise as well, but it is mostly related with geopolitics. So this is the part that I will try to bring up a little opening to the issue from my side. And so the first diagnosis that I have made to this picture when I look at the Eastern Mediterranean, especially to the developings that are taking place since 2009, the first findings, explorations of gas reserve by Israel, and then southern Cyprus we have seen that at that time IR scholars were very much hopeful and optimistic about that this gas finding reserves might be helpful in easing the various conflicts present in the MENA region. But unlikely, we have seen that, as our Professor Sohbet Bey has said so, these gas reserves that were found seem to bring more conflict added to the ones that we have known. So it was a kind of difficulty. The reserves that were used by various littoral countries as bringing up alignments as against others, so that they could have much of the wealth that could be driven from these resources, and as well as they hope to somehow put a hegemony on the these pipelines routes that they hope to bring about at the expansion of others. What I'm saying that first, we have seen that right after the first finding of these gas reserves in Eastern Mediterranean, we have seen that a kind of a regional, good regional power rivalry has come into fore due to the having competition over access for these resources, and this has not stopped there. We have seen that some of the countries that we all know, like for instance southern Cyprus, for instance, without having acceptance from the Northern Republic of Cyprus, went to declare the so-called these exclusive economic zones, and then again without having confirmation from the north, they went on to bring about, invite international companies are out there here to explore these resources, hydrocarbon resources. And then this is how it has started. We have seen that a problem has come into fore, and then Turkey has sided legitimately on the side of Turkish Republic of Cyprus and objected to these agreements that they did not have any right to do it in legal wise because they were not representing the North. And also, again, related with the gas reserve that was found in Israel, as previous professor had said so, the problem of how to export these gas to distant areas. Here it was thought that these gas reserves could be an alternative for exporting to Europe as an alternative to their dependency on Russian gas. And so we have seen that, especially depending on the geopolitical developments in the region-wise, right after 2015, when the Russians have come and come back to the Middle East via the back door of Assad's invitation to Syria. This has triggered both NATO as well as US perceptions in regard to this region, where they have seen that they were semi-detached from this area, even though there was the Sixth Fleet and so on. But once at the end of the Cold War, Russia has left the region. They thought they could leave their presence to a limited sense. And this time also, when they have seen that China is taking place in this region with its economic considerations. And what I'm saying is that at the strategic level, we have seen that this great power rivalry has started to take on, and this is how Eastern Mediterranean region has become the new area for the ascending of Cold War period. And this new ascending of Cold War period in Eastern Mediterranean was also not independent from what was happening in the region, and due to the other important geopolitical shifts that took part since the Arab awakening and counter-revolutions and so on, we have seen that this time U.S. has decided that Washington could rely on easy and practical means of alliances, which could be less expensive and less risky for itself, to somehow constrain, not the containment, but constrainment of both Russia as well as Chinese existence in this region. And that is how these three axes, group of countries that came together on the ground at the regional level that we have witnessed, came into a being. And one of them was related with this gas findings. So it was a energy-wise founded axis that I'm talking about, that our previous professor has in a detail well explained the reasons of how it was formed. And so actually what is interesting, it was an Israeli-based alignment, this regional first alliance that we are seeing. And the important thing that we should bear in mind is that the axis of alliances that we are referring, that I'm going to soon talk about the second and the third one very briefly, is that these alliances that we are used to know from our previous experiences from Cold War years is totally different. What is common between the two was only at the strategic level, the great powers are there to expand their zone of influences, which is here, it is the case of Eastern Mediterranean, via certain means. And here in this case, there are, of course, differences that we should be talking about and underline it. And the characteristics, the different characteristics of these alliances were such that first, they were flexible alliances. So the groups that take part in these alliances are there to get benefit, to find a common benefit on certain issue. And so the gathering is a flexible one. It is not like the one that we used to see. They are not ideologically hard shells of the alliances that we are accustomed to in the Cold War years. And so the main motivation for them to be in this alignment, these three different alignments, one of them was based on gas, as I said, is to benefit from it. And they come together to cooperate to benefit it from, as it has been mentioned. For instance, East Gas Forum that was constructed or established was to, again, among these group of countries to cooperate one another on gas issue, so as that they could benefit more. And also the other characteristic is that these alliances are can be changeable. They can be changeable, you know. So these three characteristics that I have mentioned actually seems to be proved when we look at the changing dynamics in Eastern Mediterranean basin. And the recent changes that we happen to see seems to be proving our assertion that we put into this article with my colleague Vishne Korkmaz. And so from here, I will again try to talk about the second axis that came into being, that US tried to use for its aim objective of, you know, constraining the other great powers that seem to be you know, as a rival to itself and to its interests. And that was an alignment that came into being. What is happening in of course in Libya. And we know that, again, a new alignments within the country during the 10 years of civil war came into being. Again, is also not independent what's happening in Eastern Mediterranean energy equation, because as one of those articles that I have read in the past was saying that Syrian civil war was about gas, and whereas Libyan war was again was about oil. So we know European companies right out before the outbreak of the civil war, how they have been engaged in hydrocarbon sector. And so as again, the third alignment of axis that came into being at the regional level that we have seen in Eastern Mediterranean is about, again, this new phenomena that came into a rise with the signing of, normalization treaty with Israel, with these two Gulf countries as well as Sudan and Morocco. What I'm talking about, what I'm referring is, of course, the Abraham Accords. So what we are seeing, actually, this geopolitical dynamics that is happening in Eastern Mediterranean is not, static. Things are changing rapidly, and this is also due to for Turkey's stand as well. Turkey has so far tried to use all means available at her hand. First of all, it tried to object to the others, these three alignments objective of containing Turkey to Gulf of Antalya. She has rejected to it. Legitimately depending on law, and she said that she was holding the longest, coast in Mediterranean, coast in the Mediterranean, and apart from that, she has automatically signed a delimitation of continental shelf with Northern Republic of Cyprus and has given licenses to TPOA in 2011. And since then, we know that Turkey is going on exploration for hydrocarbon resources in Eastern Mediterranean. And another important turning point from the perspective of, again, Turkey was signing this, delimitation of borders in Eastern Mediterranean with Libya. This was also an important event that has, really disturbed the likely future of East Med pipeline project, that was put forward as against to Turkey as an alternative. And so up till now, as I can say, Turkey, with relying on both its deterrence capacity, as well as its newly gained these drilling ships that she went on exploration, and simultaneously continuing its multi-facet diplomacy. We have seen that finally, from both European Union as well as from the some of the littoral states, we are seeing that winds of peacemaking is about to come. Of course, with the determination of Turkey that Turkey is also ready for for dialogue, unless there would be equitable based cooperation in these gas reserves around the littoral states of the Eastern Mediterranean. But what is important, we have so far talked about how this gas reserves has tried to be used by bringing up counter alliances as against a group of states, and how there could be access of these energy resources by each countries, or whether the excessive resources could be exported to beyond the immediate neighborhood region. But we haven't said anything about, very briefly actually, our previous professor has mentioned it, this issue is also very much related with sovereignty. So that is why this maritime bordering dispute is quite crucial and important. I mean, that is also has to be bear in mind. I don't know how many minutes I have, but 5.
No, the time is up, but I can give you 1 or 2 minutes.
Few minutes. Yeah, I'll pick it up in few minutes. What I'm going to say is that again, in the last few weeks, we have seen again these winds of peacemaking approach coming from Arabs world. For instance, the TAW that has been realized with Egypt is important. The diplomatic relations seems to be moving, though it's a bit slow, but it's okay. It's been broken since 2013. And also even from UAE and Saudi Arabia, we are seeing more rational, rhetoric, I would say, coming up. But most important of all, we have seen that the energy minister of Israel has said that, in the past they had explored ways of, exporting their gas via Turkey, but we know the details of it. I will not go into it. But now he also said that when there was a question raised to him, he said, why not? Turkey can also become part of East Mediterranean Gas Forum. So what I'm saying that the region is too much tired of proxy wars. I mean, I'm not referring to Turkey, the rest of the countries that came into these alignments as against that took in form of anti-Turkish one. They are tired of it, and there is a change of government in US. So there is a reset that has been imposed on these Gulf countries, and as it's been said, there is the Al-Ula agreement, which is also important. And again, the technical and economic details of the gas reserves that we are talking about, the ones that has been found or that can be found, the lack of exporting gas infrastructure other than Egypt is there. So, I mean, if this gas, that the one that we are talking about, the Israeli gas especially, is going to be exported to Europe, before that, I guess Turkey stands to be the real market for this gas to be exported. So that is also also going to be helpful for the change that we may see in these three alliances that I have already mentioned, because they are flexible, because they are benefit oriented. Once there is going to be a new benefit that is going to be established due to the all geopolitical shifts and everything, there could be new reset of alignments in these alliances. That's what I'm saying. So I'm hopeful that there's going to be a change, maybe a gradual one, but due to Turkey's being as set by the Europeans as new normal in the Eastern Mediterranean, as it's being the game changer of this equation, I'm hoping that there will be, some changes in these alignments in which everyone could benefit. And that is what our president has said at the UN Security Council, that there should be a conference where all littoral countries come together, including Northern Republic of Cyprus, where on an equitable base, there would be a way of cooperating on a win-win base mindset. Thank you, Gloria, for extra time as well.
Thank you very much, Professor. I think it was a very good presentation as well. Now we are going to proceed with our third speaker, Professor Hakan Berman. He currently works at the Center for Middle Eastern Studies, and he is one of the prominent experts on energy studies in Turkey. And today he's going to talk about the general energy equation in Eastern Mediterranean, but with a special focus on the Turkey's foreign policy. Professor Berman, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you. I am going to take the advantage of being the third speaker. And I fully agree with Sohbet Hoca and Nushin Hoca. But I'm going to interpret the events from slightly different angle. And the East Mediterranean provides a vast amount of resources to be used for the benefit of the countries, but at the same time, East Mediterranean countries needs these resources as well. Even if there is a vast amount of natural gas fund for Egypt, one of the beneficiaries, and used heavily its own purposes, whatever the natural gas that they produce. And Israel tried to sell some of it, actually they do sell abroad, but they're also beneficial. So what I try to tell you here is this: even if there is natural gas out there, but its export potential for the time being is not great. And when you study the individual fields like that Aphrodite, it seems quite feasible, whatever the numbers out there, for the exploitation. But on the other hand, it turns out to be quite infeasible for the companies that they produce this natural gas. So overall, we have enough natural gas for domestic use. But if you like to export it somehow, we don't know how it is going to happen. But one of them is that this EastMed pipeline is not going to be such a feasible thing that Sohbet Hoca probably knows way better than I can ever know. So what started to happen is that about 2 weeks ago or so, I believe that the Minister of Energy of Egypt went to Israel, and they decided to build a pipeline that is going to export part of the Leviathan natural gas to Egypt to be processed at one of their LNG facilities. So if the more of the natural gas will be used for the LNG facilities, what is going to lead for the exportation, for the export? And as we go from southern part of the Eastern Mediterranean to the northern part, the fields get smaller, and probably geographic structure is not so cost efficient to produce. So when you put all this together, even if there is lots of natural resources, I don't know how economic it is for export. So that is the one part of the equation. And the other part of the equation is that do we have enough demand for natural gas? I mean, through Turkey, Azerbaijan started to send its natural gas, and probably Turkmenistan is interested in using the same facilities. Nord Stream will be coming, and United States is one of the big players at the LNG business, and Europe is not growing as much as they hope that it will be growing, and they have this carbon capture and the carbon facilities that they don't want to release so much carbon. So the demand in Europe may not be as much as we thought it would be. So if you like to export this natural gas, as the Nursin Hoca mentioned, is that probably Turkey is the best alternative that they have, because it has a big economy and it is a big natural gas demand, and it has been growing fast, and even if we transmit the part of the natural gas to Europe through TANAP or some other means. So once we put all this together, the feasibility is subject to question. But there are other things that have been happening on Eastern Mediterranean. One of them is, in Turkish it is called Dedeağ, and the Greeks calls it the Alexandria Polis, that they decide to establish LNG facilities. Even if the United States is planning to establish a military base there. So there is a demand for natural gas, either in LNG form or it is the pipeline form, for the Balkans. Bulgaria, Romania, Ukraine, maybe Moldova, Serbia. So Greece is playing to be a regional hub for the natural gas to be transmitted to the Balkans. And when you look at the location of the Alexandria Polis, it is very close to the Turkish border. So if it is well thought, or if it is the choice of the by chance, is that the biggest consumer of this imported natural gas to Alexandria Polis can be Turkey. When you combine all these regions and these countries' demand and multiply by 2, still it is below slightly Turkish natural gas demand. And once you try to establish a natural gas hub so close to Turkey, you need to be careful. Why? Because that Turkey, as an economist, we call it that the monopoly power. Turkey may buy, may not buy, but Turkey has active hubs over there. One of them is that the Marmara Relisi, the other is the Alia, and they are planning to build a third one in Soros, that they may be able to buy natural gas through LNG from the third parties, including US or the excluding US, below the prices that is offered at the Alexandria Polis. So the pipeline and the production of the natural gas, exclusive economic zones and the continental shelf is one issue, but the demand of the natural gas for the Eastern Europeans is there. It needs to be met. And the Russians seems to be the only sensible provider of the natural gas. And Alexandria Polis will be tried to be the important hub. United States strongly supports it, but the Turkey is a big player. So we may need to be careful about that. And the other issue that we may need to highlight here is about the electricity. So we have this natural gas, and the natural gas has various means, and you can export the natural gas that any way that you want, but part of the natural gas will be used for the electricity. And electricity needs to be produced on demand. So what it implies is that you need to establish your facilities such that whenever there is a demand, you will be able to meet it. And the Greek administration of the Cyprus over-invested it is renewable energy, electricity energy, to be particularly the wind energy, that on peak demands, they may not be able to meet their demands. And they signed a memorandum of understanding, the Greek administration of the Cyprus, for the island of Cyprus with Israel to import this electricity. I don't know the legal status of the Turkish part of Turkish Republic of the Northern Cyprus, if it is continental shelf or not. But another plan was that these interconnectivity lines will pass through will go to the island Crete, and this is conflicting with that the Turkish continental shelf claims. So the natural gas is one, pipeline is another one, and the region is not still standing. There is lots of development, as the Nursin Hoca mentioned, and one of them is this Alexandria Polis, and in spot market, the United States is very strong on LNG providing, and probably they need an outlet to sell their natural gas through LNG facilities, probably through the Alexandria Polis. But at the same time, there might be other players, and there is a demand but Turkey is big player. So I don't know how likely that the Alexandriapolis will be such an important hub for the pricing. And also, as I mentioned before, that and the Sopetich also mentioned that there are two LNG facilities in Egypt, and one of them, the ITCO, is active, and but they try to revitalize the Demiatan LNG facilities, and probably they are going to get the part of the natural gas from Israel from Leviathan field, and they like to be exporter. And I don't know how likely that they will be able to compete in the Asian markets compared to Qatar or compared to Australia, and they may have an outlet for the Europe, but I don't know how likely that they will be able to compete with the pipeline gas. And Turkey is the one of the Turkey might be the one of the outlets, and these outlets might come from the Alea LNG facility or the Marmaris LNG facilities. So there is a set of countries that will be able to benefit from the size of Turkey, because it is one of the big players on the market to demand it is natural gas. And when we come back to electricity production, okay, I mean in island as an island, energy island, that island of Cyprus, include the Turkish and the Greek part, that they are heavily using the diesel facilities to produce electricity, and it is really expensive and it is not competitive. And they know that, and even if they invested for the renewable energy, it is not efficient, and they are hoping that they will be able to buy electricity both from Israel and Egypt, and they will be able to export the electricity when they will be able to produce electricity from the wind facilities. When they need it, they will be able to import it. But the Turkey can provide the similar kind of electricity to the Turkish part of the Cyprus, way below its cost. And both the Greek and the Turkish part may benefit out of it. And it provides the energy security for the Turkish part, and it is going to provide the economic benefit to the Greek part. So when we combine all this together, it might be quite unfair to restricting our discussion on the natural gas potential of the region, because there are others, and restricting about the pipeline, because there is this LNG facilities and export facilities, and restricting about the Asia or the Europe, but there is this Turkish facility out there, and that is one of the important consumer of it. And the Turkey tried to play the constructive role on these facilities. I mean, even if we have the continental shelf claims, and we don't say that we are not going to let them not use the Turkish continental shelf, it is still perfectly feasible if they ask the usage of the pipeline or the electricity grid lines pass through the Turkish continental shelf between the Cyprus and the island as a Cyprus and the island of Crete. And there is so many things that we can do. And but it is not going to come easy, because there's lots of things needs to be discussed, and we may not be able to solve all this problem altogether, because for some reason French has some interest, the United States has some interest, British should some have some interest, even if they are not so active players, and to try to solve all this together once, it is quite difficult. And we need to take small step at a time. We know that there's lots of problems that they are huge to solve, they are difficult to solve, but there are some problems that they are not so difficult to solve, and we can start to take the small steps and work slowly, because that both parties can benefit out of it. So in sum, what I try to tell here is this. Natural gas is the part of the game in the Eastern Mediterranean, but there is this Alexandriapolis LNG facilities might be game changer, and Turkey has an interest, and Turkey has the power to influence it, and both Greece and Turkey can benefit from these facilities to provide the natural gas to the Eastern Europe. And there is this need for the electricity, because there are lots of electricity islands that Turkey can contribute. Also, the region can benefit by using these interconnected lines, and we can start to talk about these issues, but there are so many things that need to be involved. Let's say Israel likes to sell natural gas to Turkey, but when you open the map and you cannot see that the Israeli pipelines will be able to come to Turkey without passing through the so-called the Greek administration Cyprus continental shelves. And how likely that they are going to let you to do that if they are not part of it. So what's going to happen is that these problems are so grave and it is very difficult to solve at once, even if we go to international arbitration or anything like that. But it needs to take slowly, and it can be done because that everybody can benefit out of it. And we need to have to come up with this win-win kind of solutions. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Professor. So it kind of summarized something that we all say during this time, like even why the situation is very difficult currently in the Eastern Mediterranean and the conflicts are like very like obvious now. I think that gradually all of the states, all of the regional actors should try and cooperate with each other, and that is the only way how we can solve the current problems, I guess. Before concluding our panel, I had one question for each of our speakers, if possible, starting with Professor Sohbet Karpuz. As you mentioned that there are a lot of alliances taking place right now in the region, and Turkey is not part of any of them. So my question here is that, do you think that these alliances or these projects that are undertaken that are leaving Turkey outside, are they going to be successful if something by doing this? What do you think about that?
Yeah, thank you. Actually, Hakan Hoca and Nurşin Hoca mentioned a very important thing, is that now EastMed gas is beyond EastMed gas. We have to involve also the electricity part of the equation, especially for Egypt and Israel. Yes, it was mentioned. Several gas export options. Personally, I don't think that Europe needs EastMed gas. Think of what is happening in Europe. Yes, Asia could be the best option, but it is unlikely to sign any long-term contract with Asia. Asia, they can compete in Asian market only in spot market when the prices are extremely high, as we witnessed end of December or January. Otherwise, Israeli or Egyptian gas cannot compete there either. So this leaves us, actually, before that, the best way, in my opinion, to export regional gas to distant market is the Arab gas pipeline. Arab gas pipeline is starting from Egypt, goes to Jordan, has a branch to Lebanon, and all the way to the border of Turkey, passes through Syria. But we have some civil wars or diplomatic conflict. Imagine Lebanon discovered gas. What will they do with that? They have no export infrastructure, whereas they could connect to EastMed gas, Arab gas pipeline. The same thing for Israel. Connect Arab gas pipeline. This is 10 billion cubic meter capacity of gas pipeline. 95% is empty. So it could be reasonably. It could be connected to Potash pipeline and could be forwarded, for example, to Greece. That would be, for me, the only pipeline option that make the regional gas. But the regional gas is expensive gas. Look at the price of gas in Israel. The export prices. We are talking about close to $5 per million BTU. And Egyptian government's agreement with deep offshore gas fields, it is also close to $5 per million BTU. Now, include transport, regasification, etc. it cannot compete even in Turkish market. This is expensive gas. Whereas the best way, by taking into account of the current political developments in the region, is to export or utilize the regional gas there to produce electricity and sell this electricity to Middle East or all the way to Libya, to Sudan, Saudi Arabia, or whatever. So establish a regional gas interconnection in the region. I think this is what Israel has in mind. Even I think Egypt it has in mind, because their gas is uncompetitive. This is 1 + 1 = 2. It is too difficult to compete, but it could be sold as electricity, and it could create a value added for their countries, so they can create employment, etc. So better to export a value-added product than natural gas. This I think we will see. I have no idea, but I see the future of natural gas exports from the region as in the form of electricity, not as natural gas, to distant markets.
Thank you very much, Professor. Professor Nursin Ateşoğlu, I had a question regarding the new administration in the United States. As Biden came to power, to the White House, do you think that this may affect the equation in the Eastern Mediterranean, maybe even in terms of the energy? What is your opinion on that?
As it's been said, the gas that has in the region is about 10 trillion cubic meters, and it's so expensive to be exported to Europe if we are focusing on it. But apart from that, as far as I see, actually Biden was the vice president of Obama. And he even back like 10 years ago, he visited Cyprus, I remember, and he thought that the newly by then, this found gas could be a facilitator to the solving of Cyprus problem. So he thought this energy could be used as a facilitating instrument to solve the conflict, at least starting with Cyprus, and then there was other expectations in regard to MENA region. But this has not worked. On the contrary, this gas issue between the two communities, due to the Greek Cypriot administration, has become problematic. So even though from the Turkish side, I remember there was a proposal to make a joint commission in which, the wealth that could be derived from this exploration, there should be a joint exploration, and the wealth that likely to be gained from this could be equitably shared, and so on. And joint decision making as well was, proposed from the north, but this was not accepted by the south. Anyway, what I'm saying is that I don't think that America has any interest what's happening in hydrocarbon-wise, the resources is there. America is looking at the region from the perspective of geopolitical calculation. The aim is to constrain both Russia as well as China's existence there, and to use the alliances that they are there to its benefit. But the aim is here not to bring polarization, I believe, from the standpoint of the new administration. Biden administration's focus is going to be more on the Asia Pacific, and they would be dealing with the region as long as they can find mechanisms of de-escalating the problems and the conflicts. So we would be seeing more about their efforts to shuffle these alliances that they are there at the moment. This is my view of forecasting the future. Hope this will become a reality on the ground based on these, it has been said, issue-based corporations, as Sohbet Bey proposed so, and Hakan Bey proposed so. Hope rationality will count on, and win-win based cooperation could come about, so that the region can have a brief as well. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Hoca, I wanted to ask you about the fact that you mentioned about the fact that Greece is aiming to be an energy hub, especially after the building of the LNG facilities. And we also know that the Turkish government for some time now has voiced the idea of wanting to become an energy hub, as the time passes. Do you think that there will be a clash of interest between these two states, or will it, the fact that that Greece wants to become an energy hub, will this become a threat for us? What do you think about this?
Okay, probably Sohbet Hoca will be smiling at me, but I don't think that Turkey has much of a potential to be an energy hub for pricing. I mean, just today the currency depreciated around 1 point, and when you compare to week, that it is like about 5 or 6%, I don't know, but exactly. So I can't imagine myself that it is going to be priced in TL, okay, so that the foreigners will be interested to buy in dollars, or it will be priced in dollars or euros, that we will be able to show its prices on domestic market. So as far as the pricing is concerned, it is distant goal. But as far as the trading is concerned, or the shipment is concerned, Turkey has a big potential. And because the Turkey can utilize this natural gas for its own purposes, also the Turkey has a very strong petrochemical sector and may be able to utilize those. So the Turkey has a big potential for trading. And we can very well we can import the natural gas through Saros Bay, and we may be able to export to Balkans or the East Europe, or we can import to the Marmara Rejisi, can use it our own. But this Alexandria Polis may provide us to cooperate rather than to compete. And this cooperation can benefit both Turkey and Greece. And because Turkey has such a big power to influence the pricing mechanism over there, we call it that through the monopsony power. And we may utilize this. And as the Sohbet Hoca mentioned, that natural gas may use its own purposes, but if you like to trade in electricity, Turkey can provide an outlet as far as the input for the process. So, I mean, these are the things that, not one versus another, but these are the things that how we can grow rich together. So it is not a zero-sum game. Both countries, all regions can benefit out of it. So yes, what we argue as the hub for pricing, if we need to be realistic, may not be, but for the trading, definitely Turkey has a big potential, but this potential will benefit both Turkey and Greece.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Professor. So here we conclude also our panel. Thank you very much for your contributions, not only in the panel, but also in the Inside Turkey Journal. I hope we will have other meetings in the close future. Thank you very much.
Thank you.